Affirmative team claims that the death penalty should be abolished in the United States. But based on our research, my colleague and I are convinced that the death penalty is too beneficial and morally just to the United States to be abolished. Capital punishment provides retribution. It is crime-preventing, and many criminals reportedly would prefer it to a life sentence. The death penalty is not cruel punishment and is a moral form of retribution. According to Louis P. Pojman, Ph.D., professor of philosophy, in an essay titled "Why the Death Penalty is Morally Permissible," people often confuse retribution with revenge. Vengeance signifies inflicting harm on the offender out of anger for what he has done. Retribution is the theory that the criminal deserves a punishment fitting to the gravity of his crime. When a society fails to punish criminals in a way thought to be proportionate to the crime, the danger arises that the public would take the law into its own hands, resulting in vigilante justice and private acts of retribution. The outcome is likely to be an anarchistic, insecure state of injustice. This means that any crime cannot go unpunished, no matter its severity. But all the same, the severity of the crime must be reflected in the severity of the punishment. In most states, there are few crimes that are deemed deserving of capital punishment, the most frequent being murder. It is believed that to destroy another life is to forfeit your own. Capital punishment helps prevent potential crime. Criminals will not commit as severe of crimes if they know they will receive a harsher punishment. A quote from the Boston Globe: "Let a parking meter expire and you risk a $20 ticket. Park in a handicapped spot and risk a $200 ticket. Which violation are you less likely to commit?" Criminality isn't a synonym for stupidity. When murder is punished with death, fewer criminals will murder. When murder is punished with nothing worse than prison, more criminals will be emboldened to kill. In the never-ending debate over capital punishment, that is always the choice it comes down to. Many criminals have had the opportunity to commit manslaughter, but instead they chose only to wound or to cripple their victims in order to avoid the death sentence, i.e., the fear of death has saved many lives. However, while free criminals fear the death penalty, actual inmates would prefer it over life in prison. Living in captivity is depressing and degrading. In the years between 1993 and 2002, 75 criminals volunteered for death. On this, Richard Dater, executive director of the Death Penalty Information Center, has stated, "One would argue that life in prison is the worst kind of punishment and not the death penalty. So many people wouldn't be volunteering for it if it was so bad." According to the American Civil Liberties Union, overcrowding, violence, sexual abuse, and other conditions pose grave risks to prisoner health and safety. Mistreatment of prisoners based on race, sex, gender identity, or disability remains far too common. Many prisoners consider death a better alternative to life under these oppressions. Therefore, the death penalty is in no way unjust, in many ways beneficial, so we should fight to preserve it.